up, everybody? Maine Fly Guys here with another tutorial. Today I'm tying a half and half saltwater pattern that I saw from the Hook and Vice Fly Co. If you don't know them, go check them out. I usually don't tie, patterns that I've seen elsewhere, but this one was just so cool. I had to give it a shot, and I really like the way that it looks. So it's gonna be kind of a cluster, but anyways, these are medium, maybe large eyes. These are probably large eyes. They're not weighted. They're quite light actually, because I don't want this pattern to sink. So first we're gonna start with some ostrich. This pattern is going to imitate a harbor pollock. So I'm gonna grab about 10, maybe 12 strands of ostrich here. And this is brown ostrich. So I want this pattern to be about 4 inches long, 5 inches long. So what I'm doing is just, I don't care if the tips are all lined up. I kind of like how it's sprayed out, but I'm going to wrap backwards and I'm going to tie in this nice ostrich herl here. And before I move forward, I'm going to tie in a little bit of this. This is Creelex, and it's in a greenish, blackish tint. If you've ever seen a harbor pollock, you'll know that they have a little, it's kind of a weird color, to be honest, but it almost appears like a green. Now this is short, so what I'm going to do is just sort of wrap it in, pull it on top, and I want it to kind of cover the top half. So I'm going to use my thumb and just push down and kind of just let it fall on either side. And there we go. So that's not too shabby. So then I'm going to take the same Creelex, swear it will swim. I'm going to cut off a decent chunk here, 6 strands or something. And I'm going to tie it in at the very, very tip. There we go. And we are just going to lock it in right there. This is going to be our body. It's going to be the body of our fly. So trim off the excess ostrich, trim off excess whatever. Boom. The thread that I'm using is a white Danville. It's 210, I think. So anyway, so take your Creelex that you just tied in, and you are just going to start wrapping it. Rotary vise helps here. You only need a few wraps. It's nothing crazy. Boom, and I'm just going to catch it right behind the eye there. Right behind that eye. And then I will just catch it. If you catch it out front here as well, just makes the trimming easier. Alright. So I like to catch it a few times out front just so I can trim it nice and tight. Because if you catch it out back, then it's hard to cut it around those eyes. So that's what we got so far. Nothing crazy. It's gonna swim upside down. So when these eyes are gonna make it turn over, because they're a little bit heavier than the hook point here, this bottom hook point. These eyes are just a little bit heavier than those hook points. Before I move on, I'm just gonna put a drop of super glue on the bottom of the eyes here, just to keep them from spinning in. My glue of choice, Loctite Super Glue Liquid. It's really hard to beat. You really can't beat it. So anyone who thinks you can beat that, you're just crazy. So it's gonna, if you look at harbor pollock, they have a brown back and a pretty white belly. So I'm gonna want the white deer hair that I'm gonna use to be on the top here. So here I have a Maine bucktail, taken here in Maine by a lucky hunter. And I don't like my half and halves or my Klausers to be crazy full. I really don't. I kind of like them to be sparse. So what I have here, you don't want this, I don't want this top part to go all the way to the tip of the ostrich. I want it to go about half. I want it to go about half. So here's my clump. It's just a little clump. What I'm going to do is I'm going to square off the tips here. All right, just square them off. And I'm going to tie it in on the side of the hook out front here that is closest to me. So I'm going to get those tips. So I am holding it at an angle upwards. Caught it on the side. Just 2 really loose wraps. And then I'll pull it forward a little bit, just so I can get those tips in. Once those tips are in, right before the eye, then I'll lock it in. Because I'm tying in this direction, it kind of pulls the fibers on top of the hook. And then you can work your way back and get it locked in. And I'm just going to do 3 really tight wraps behind the eye, still holding the fibers down, and that's it. We'll come back and clean up the head at the end. But there you go, they lay down nice and flat. Pull any stragglers out. Lay down nice and flat, gives you a good belly profile. You can space it out if you want, but I kind of like it how that is. So that's that. For the next part, I'm going to lower this so that you guys can see me work. I flip the hook upside down, and I'm going to add in brown deer hair now. And you want it to match, so this brown matches that ostrich real nice. You can add another bit of flash here if you want. I'm not going to. I don't think that it's necessary to do so. But you can certainly add some extra flash here if you would like. So, but what I do, again, I don't want this hair to lay, I don't want it to spring up when I pull it down. So you're going to want to take hair from the tip of the tail. And so I'm going to take this from the very tip of the tail here. Again, I'm not a huge believer in bulky half and halves or bulky Klausers, so I don't take a lot of bucktail. And in fact, I take sort of a small amount and then pull out the ones that I don't like. So there you see I have a very small amount there, and I'm going to measure it out. You want this to go basically back to the very end of your ostrich hurl, but pretty close to at least. So here I'm just going to do the same thing. Angle on the side of the hook. I'm going to do 2 loose wraps. Then I'm just going to kind of work the hair over and back. Boom. There it is. I like that. I'm going to lay it right over the hook, so now it's nice and centered. Use your thumb a little bit to sort of work those fibers, because right now they're all clumped up, so it's difficult to get a tight pull on them. So kind of push them down, get them flattened out, and then work your way back. And that's when you can really get a secure tying point. Now, since it's going to be swimming like this, the back is dark of a harbor pollock. So what I do is I take, a good 8 strands of, again, this shiny kind of green colors coming into play, but take some peacock herl, and again, I like it to be about the length of the fly, pretty close to, if not the full length, pretty close to. So boom, just tie them in on top. These catch obviously very, very well if you've ever used peacock herl. Catch like a dream. So I'm just going to lay them in on top, make sure they're nice and straight, and then I'm just going to cover everything up. How's that looking? Looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to come through and whip finish. And I do one more thing. I'm going to tie 2 whip finishes in. Why, you ask? Because this is a saltwater pattern, and I feel that the saltwater fish really beat these flies up. So I like to do 2. So you see we have a nice symmetrical head, a nice... I do one more thing though, and that is I take a black Sharpie or a black whatever you have. This is like a fancy Prismacolor Premier, whatever that means. Sharpies work great too. And I like to trace the head to make it black. So it's black where, you know, if you look at a harbor pollock, the black back doesn't just stop magically at the head, it continues. So I like to just put a little black on top, and that way it stays a continuous black all the way through. So, back up a bit. Here is our half and half. Let's pull it out of the vise for you guys. And I love it. The Hook and Fly Vise Company, this is such a great pattern. It was the Ostrich Hurl. The half and halves obviously are, you know, notorious, but when it gets wet it maintains this sort of profile. I mean, look at that. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. So great pattern. Thank you for posting it. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys fish with it and tie it. If you like what you see here, check us out on Instagram. We post pretty much every day with new fishy content, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you want to see a pattern that you don't know how to tie, or you want to know how to tie it and you want to make a suggestion, feel free to reach out and we'll post it for you. Alright, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.